When it comes to the Commodore 64, the one that everyone recognizes is this one, the Breadbin. The very first computer that I ever had back in the 1980s was one of these, and I got rid of it the way that we did in those days. So I've been trying to find another one. And a little while ago this came up from fellow YouTuber Glen at Casual Retro Gamers, and I will link his YouTube channel below. Check it out, it is really good. And what got my interest on this is in fact what's on the back. Because we used to do that when I were young, and these were young, and as soon as they came out of warranty, we would be drilling holes in it and putting switches on it. Almost certainly that's a reset switch. That's going to be an S video, and I imagine this is sound and audio and composite. I'm not entirely sure what's inside here. I'm told that it does actually work, but before we plug it in, let's open it up and take a look. So this is your basic Breadbin. It looks like maybe it was formed from two different computers, because the top looks to be a different colour to the bottom. And obviously we are missing the number 8 key. That is not going to be a huge problem, because I'm sure we can find one from somewhere at some time. Made in England, serial number 276979. Let's take it apart. Right, we'll see how well it has survived shipping. I am going to guess that this top part, this top case, did not go with this machine, because there's no indication in here of any mods that I can see that would relate to either a reset switch, audio and video, and S-video. However, these are things that we can do to this machine to make those connections useful. So we've got heatsink on the SID. Everything else is pretty much soldered in, apart from those, and this one RAM chip. I think, assuming that this board works. Okay, well, all the chips inside appear to be connected. That's the PLA, I think. And there's signs on that it has been prodded in the past. Let us open up the can of Vic worms, because the case is already open, so we ought to have a look inside. There we go. Ooh, ooh. That's nice. We've got a ceramic one. 6569 revision 1. Right, shall we try it out, see if it works? I'm going to hang those out the back. I'm not really going to do anything with it. I just want to try it out and see if it works. Then we can discuss what we're going to do with it in the future. I think I would like to connect all these things up. There we go, you can see what's happening. And possibly connect this, possibly have this as a modified machine, or let's do mods to machine. The power in, it's switched on at the wall. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. And it works. And that's a sort of orangey, is it orange? It's definitely not an original LED, it's a flat top. And it looks kind of orange, but that's interesting. So, it does appear to be working, at least on the surface. We should put a diagnostic cartridge in there and try that out. So let's do that. I'd like to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this video. PCBWay make printed circuit boards, and this is one that I had them make for a recent video. For yet another video I'm using this. This is a shared project, and it's a prototype board for a Commodore 64, and we are building a little circuit. $5 for 5 boards, 1 or 2 layers, up to 10 centimeters on a side. This is a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter board, but they don't just do PCBs. They also do 3D printing, they do CNC machining, they do sheet metal work, they do advanced PCBs, they do multi-layer PCBs, they do flexible PCBs, they do shared projects, they have a maker store. Check them out, www.pcbway.com. Right, we have harness and dead test diagnostic cartridge. So let's plug the bits in. It's better using whoops. Using there. It's on there. It's now. Set keyboard. It's in there. Top is in there. And finally, let's just check. Diagnostic is 164 diagnostic high low gain. High low game. That should be the diagnostic cartridge. That goes in there. Okay, 3, 2, 1, switch the plug on. We're not going to hear the SID because I didn't plug the sound in. Okay, that's interesting. Saying the user port is bad. Ah, I've got no power light. Let's have a look. Maybe I did not connect it correctly. Now that's interesting, the key on that is actually a bit of a cable tie. Or maybe this just needs cleaning. Let's turn the power off. Okay, I'm going to put the keyboard somewhere else for now. Just see if we can do this without unplugging it, or rather without taking the board out. There you go, that is pretty grubby. Well, hopefully that's enough to give us a good contact. Plug that back in. Top. Right, let's not worry about the power LED, and we'll just do it without the top on and the keyboard on. Right. So here we go. We'll find out. Oh yeah, lights come on now. That looks a lot better. Excellent. Now, one thing I did notice, other than this 8 key being missing, is that the F1 key doesn't do anything, and I think, because you can lift it up, I think that's just a missing spring. So we can put another spring in that. That's not a problem. I've got plenty of springs, but I don't have an 8 key. Or at least I do, because I have this, and this is a replacement keyboard. Let's cut it open. So I've got a choice. I can either look for a number 8 key, there we go, or I can completely replace the keyboard. This is a nice new keyboard. Well, it's an old keyboard, but it's in nice looking condition, and it's clean, although it's got grey function keys rather than brown. I could swap them over, I suppose. So what shall I do? I know, I'll leave it up to you. I'll put a new spring in there, and I'll leave it up to you. Tell me in the comments, should I put in this new keyboard and then use this one as spares? This has got scratches and stuff all over it. This has got, I think, a slightly darker brown, and obviously the sort of browny grey. Well, this has got the tan colour. So I think all these keys actually work, but tell me in the comments, should I replace the keyboard with this and do a complete swap, or should I just look for another number 8 key? Let me put the lid back on that before it evaporates. Now, thinking about this is S-Video, and I think this is going to be a straight chroma, luma and sound, which is basically what we have on here. What I normally do is I have one of these, and at least when I'm doing S-Video, which is on the machine that's actually over on the other side of the office, because this goes into a RetroTink 2A, is it 2A or 2X? RetroTink 2X. That goes into RetroTink 2X, and that goes into, is it HDMI? It's either HDMI or VGA, one or the other. Goes into that monitor anyway. But I've only got one of these, and I don't want to lose it. And so since this has those connectors already built in, I think we can wire that up. Now they've obviously been hacked off, just wires hanging loose here, and this is whatever that circuit is that is required for it. It's obviously been done, but, and that would obviously come off here. This all comes out of this modulator. Now one thing I have also got is this. This came from Captain Commodore, to whom I am grateful. Thank you very much, sir. And this is a C64 RF modulator replacement. So we take this off. This goes on here. These jumpers we need to configure for either a long board or a short board. Set to that side. I don't know if you can see, that says LB and that says SB. So all the jumpers up that way is long board. And we just take this out and basically replace that. So I'm inclined to do this and see how this improves the picture. So we can go through S-Video as well, but we can also do the original Chroma Luma thing, and we've seen what this already looks like. So let's take the board out. The board needs cleaning anyway, and get this off. Okay, the screws are out. Now that needs a good clean before we put it back together, and the board is going to need a good clean as well. So currently the moo gun is not working. That's something that we should look at another time. Now we've got those connectors, that, and that. And that should be it. So I'm going to be using the trusty solder sucker. And that is in the wrong, turn that one back, because that is the VIX chip cover. So it's just that one, those. Right, I might need a bigger tip. Okay, so now we want to get these big blobs off. So I don't know if the iron's going to be hot enough. Let's try. Aha, here it comes. There we go, that looks clean. So this is then going to go on here, and I think that's all we need to do. clean the board obviously before we do anything. I haven't cleaned everywhere, but I've cleaned around this area, and I've cleaned up the cassette port and so on, just where we're working basically. So I'll get rid of all this gunge, and then we'll look at putting this in. So what we've got is we've got some pins which we need to break into half, like that. These are going to go into here, and then those are going to go onto there. I've got this little rubber foot that is going to hold this above. So what I'm going to do is put these in here. Like that. That can go under there for the moment. We will adjust it shortly. What I want is some double-sided sticky. I don't have double-sided sticky, so I'll just use a little bit of glue stick. Okay, there we are. And it fell out. A little bit of Scotch tape. And of course we didn't finish soldering those pins, so we better do that. There we are. So let's give it a try. Okay. This is where we need to start trimming it. So I don't know which one goes which way. I don't know how many turns these pots are either. Doesn't make a lot of difference. One of these is supposed to be for chroma and one is supposed to be for luma. But this needs to be shorted. So we need to short that, or in the words of the words, it will not work. It appears to be not working, so I consider that to be an accurate statement. What I'm going to do is put some flux on that. Okay, hopefully that will do the trick. So I've plugged the LED in. Oh, look at that, that's much better. Doesn't seem to make a difference still. Good enough. So the last thing to figure out is where to put these wires and how to wire up this. Given that it's turned into a blob of gunge and we can't really see what's connected and whether it really is connected. There are only 2 wires and I suspect there should be more. For instance, I suspect there should be a ground. On consideration, I think I'm not going to do anything with these connectors on the back because honestly I much prefer to use this. And looking at the state of this case, I don't know if you can see it, but that pillar is broken by a good, I would say at least 1/8 of an inch. This probably by at least 1/4 of an inch. And this is really the only one that is intact. And then if we look on the bottom case, that, they've all got cracks in them. So I think realistically that this is going to need replacing. So I think I'm going to be looking for a new Breadbin case. And there's some on Indiegogo at the moment which might be interesting. They are new build cases, all new mouldings, using I think the original moulds. They're coming in a variety of colours. And if I can ever actually sign up to Indiegogo, it currently seems to think I am not human. But if it ever decides that I am human and the capture that they have there actually works for a change, then maybe I will get one of these new cases. I think they're about 75 quid, but they won't be available until like the end of the year. So that's not a short-term thing. Okay, so let's put that aside and have a little look at, there we go, the VIC-2 chip. Now I've cleaned the top of that off and I've cleaned the heatsink off here. I just want to bend this out a bit so that it's going to make good contact, and then we can put some thermal compound on there and that will safeguard its future for a while. This is just noctuous stuff because it's what I've got. So that's probably enough. Spread it about a bit. There we go, that should do. Now the other thing on here, which I might well do, you see I've cut the wires off that, but I haven't cut this off because I've found the analogue of that connector on Amazon. There we go, and that should go in there. Yep. So what we can do is we can fit this to a reset line, and reset is on the user port, and it's pin 3 and pin, well, ground. It goes from pin 3 to ground. So that's pin 3. Ground is going to be either of these end ones, top and bottom. So I think we'll go for this one. Just need to clean that hole out and then we can solder the wires on. So this will fit red wire, black wire. Like that, that should be fine. So we can start putting this machine back together. Oh no, that's interesting. This has been unsoldered. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to solder it in, but I'm just going to twist. Actually, that was probably me, wasn't it? Yes, in fact, that definitely was me. Silly me. Right, so I'll just solder this back on, because I shouldn't really have unsoldered it. There we go, that's good enough. Keyboard is in. LED is in. And our all new reset is in. But there we go. That badge is coming off. I'm not going to bend it. Now we want to fix that. Here's my bag of keyboard springs. Let's grab a key puller. There we go, the keyboard underneath looks pretty clean. There we go, spring. Hopefully that's going to be good. Let's power up the screen, power on the power. Okay, here we go, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. And there we are. If you've got this far, thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon. My current members are scrolling up the screen. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya. Bye. And what... Whoops.